Let's start in Gainesville. Dallas Wilson, that dude, apparently.
I'm in so much trouble, Andy.
Uh-oh, why?
Because I am going to be all Florida this entire offseason. And, like, I better not be made a fool of.
You be careful with that, Ari. I'm going to warn you as someone who's watched the Gators for a very long time. Be careful with that.
Andy, I told you that I pick a team every offseason to be good that people laugh at me for, and I did it 2 years in a row, and I was right. Okay, Texas, 2 years ago, I said they would win the Big 12 and make the college football playoff. People said I was insane because they always choke. They made it. Last year, Notre Dame, and I stuck with it even after they lost to NIU all the way through the year, and then picked them to go to the national championship game in my bracket before the playoffs started. Was right on that. I think Florida's going to be my team this year.
That's fine.
I think they're
listen. I think you've got a good shot here. Here's your issue. Okay. What's going to happen with DJ Lagway? Now, let's play a clip from Billy Napier that should make you feel very, very good. This is Billy Napier talking about DJ Lagway.
Yeah, no, DJ's doing great. He'll start throwing here in a couple weeks. But yeah, just in general, very positive there. You know, he's, the lower body stuff is good, and I think he's been able to do that. And I think we're working on, just kind of getting him in position for the next step. But in general, there are a lot of positive. Everything's on schedule.
So you expect him fully ready for camp?
Oh yeah. He'll be, when we start OTAs in June, he'll be 100%. Okay. He'll start throwing in a couple weeks.
So Billy Napier saying that DJ Lagway is going to start throwing in a couple weeks. He's not been throwing all spring. He's got a sore shoulder, nagging shoulder injury, and that has been a major area of concern for Florida. Now, I don't know that he should have said a couple of weeks. I think people are thinking it's exactly 2 weeks. I don't think it's exactly 2 weeks. I think it's a little bit longer than that. But the plan is to have him throwing during this, during the summer term. Like school summer term starts in late May, early June. So the plan is to have him throwing by then. The question will be, when he throws, does the nagging injury persist? Because if it does, then you gotta worry about maybe having surgery. But if he throws and there's no pain, he's good to go. And they are confident that he's going to be good to go for camp. If he is, Ari, I think your projection of Florida being good is,
let me be perfectly clear.
You got a good shot of being right there.
Let me be perfectly clear. If he's not healthy, I'm not standing by that. Okay, like this is
obviously, yes,
is predicated on DJ Lagway being awesome. So, but when you have freshman receivers who show out, my number one concern with them is that they didn't have enough, receiver power to get consistently open and have game-breaking ability. Because the more the years go on, the more the good teams that end up winning the most have those guys who can't be covered, who will make plays in important times, are the ones that are really good. And I don't know how good Florida's receivers will be, but I feel a lot better about it now than I did on Friday.
Look, we've been telling you Dallas Wilson's pretty good, but now everybody's seen it in person. Now everybody's seen it live and on your screen. Now you have your spring game heroes, so you never know, but he had 10 catches, 195 yards, I believe 2 touchdowns. It's a big deal because look at last year. Elijah Badger, Shamir Dike, good receivers. They're gonna wind up playing in the NFL, but they're not going to be first-round draft picks. And Florida had the option to go into the portal and get a bunch of guys. They got one guy they liked, J. Michael Sturdivant from UCLA, but they spent a lot of that money on flipping Dallas Wilson from Oregon. They also got Vernell Brown III, who's another receiver from Orlando. But
and we have to
Dallas Wilson is the one they went in on. That's the one they were hoping. And I think I'm not going to compare anybody to Jeremiah Smith because I think that's a one of one. But we can say like Ryan Williams last year. Like if you can get Ryan Williams type production out of Dallas Wilson, which would still be asking a lot, that could be pretty amazing.
I mean, spring game hero usually goes for the walk-on or the guy who's buried on the depth chart that has an awesome game and then disappears into the abyss, not the first spring game from a borderline 5-star prospect who everyone's counting on. Like, I mean, that type of production to me, I think means something. So I don't know if that means he's going to have 1,500 yards receiving this year or he's going to be somebody who has 500. But I think that the notion of Florida could get a big boost if one of their freshman receivers turns out to be a productive player, I think that you probably feel pretty good about the likelihood of Dallas Wilson doing that.
Let's hear Billy Napier on Dallas Wilson.
You know, like I told you guys before, these rankings are a little more accurate than they've ever been, and I'd say that's what a 5-star looks like.
How about that? Talking about On3. And the other guys too. But yeah, he said the rankings are more accurate now because that's what a 5-star looks like. Like that is, and that's something Florida has not had at receiver in a long time. The guy who comes in and just immediately overwhelms you with his talent. Like you have not seen Florida capable of getting that type of player for a while, and now they have one. To tell you that we're hosting Andy Ari On3 live from the draft in Green Bay on April 24th and April 25th. We set up right outside the famous frozen tundra of Lambeau Field at the Culver's Great Wisconsin Tailgate. Born in Wisconsin, Culver's is the home of legendary ButterBurger, fresh frozen custard, and Wisconsin cheese curds. No better representation of America's Dairyland than that, and they have brought it to the rest of the country now, and we thank them for that. With some very special guests throughout the draft you won't want to miss, so stay tuned for more details and get ready for a weekend of fun made fresh with our friends at Culver's. And you passed along some news to me with a ButterBurger cheeseburger that I'm not going to make any health claims here. Some news station found that it was voted the healthiest
Good enough
cheeseburger.
for me.
It doesn't look like it looks amazing. So I'm not going to make any health claims. I'm just saying this ButterBurger cheeseburger is
fast food burger. Yeah. That's
yeah,
what they said.
the way to go. So yeah, hit up Culver's. Get yourself frozen custard. That cookies and cream is fire.
Can you imagine Dan Mullen saying that?
No, because he'd be like, I don't care what the rankings say.
And it's like,
We'll
that's
talk
what I
about
thought,
recruiting
right?
when it's time for recruiting.
Yeah, when I heard him say that, I was like, yeah, that's what I like. That's why I bought into Billy from the beginning. But yeah, we have a lot to be excited about as it comes down the pike here with Florida, and the hope is that DJ will be healthy and productive and ready to go once fall camp starts.
Fisherman in the chat. Kyle Pitts was good. Kyle Pitts was a tight end. He also committed to the Jim McElwain staff. So there's that. Producer River, throw up Florida's schedule. I'm just going to throw a little cold water on you. Here's Florida's schedule. So even if they're good, even if they're better, it still could be very, very hard. LSU week 3 on the road. Week 4 on the road at Miami. Week 6, Texas comes to town. Week 7 on the road at Texas A&M. The ultimate chaos agent. This is a hard schedule.
9-3 against that schedule gets in the playoff this year.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
I think you might be right because you probably have beaten a playoff team if you go 9-3. Although Tennessee, they're on the tail end of that schedule. Given the Nico drama, does that change how you feel about that game? And obviously, it's the next to last week of the regular season. A lot can change between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, how I feel about that game now and how I feel about it a week from today could be different, So, I'm going to abstain from an opinion on that until I see who they're working with. But, I feel Florida is probably in a better position today, but that's temporary.
Yeah. So if DJ Lagway starts throwing again pretty soon, there's not a lot of pain, everything moves smoothly, and he's full go in camp, I think you are absolutely right to be very optimistic about Florida. I think you should push in. It's definitely worth that being the one you trumpet all off season. They still could let you down though, because the schedule is really hard. But if a healthy DJ Lagway shows up at camp, then I think you're in a really good spot.
I also am playing with complete house money because the team that I was trumpeting last year lost to NIU. Like very early in the season. And
then wound up playing for the national championship.
The best part about that was sticking with them the day after and consistently through. I think Florida might lose multiple games. I think Florida being very good doesn't mean that they run the table against that schedule. And I don't think that's the expectation for everybody. So, the hope is that here's the thing, Andy, you'll know if they're good when you see it. You'll know it. Whether their schedule won't tell you whether they're good. You'll know it with your eyes.
Yeah. Also, if they are good, they can beat anybody on that schedule. Like it's one of those weird things. Like if Florida's a playoff team, Florida's a national title contender. Because if you can make the playoff against that schedule, then you can win the games you have to win in the playoff.
I think that Florida today is a national title contender in my eyes. Yeah.
Wow. There's the pulled quote.
Yeah, I mean, it's April. We did this, didn't we?
Say it with your chest, Ari. Say it with your chest.
I'm just saying, if you put a list of teams together that could conceivably win the national title, it's an extensive list now, and Florida's unequivocally on it. No?
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. If you, like I said, if you can make the playoff against that schedule, you are a national title contender. And if you can't, then we'll see what happens.